Hello again. Hopefully you guys had some good conversation about some practical ways that you could set the tone in your conversations. For this last section, we want to talk about something that we're really passionate about. It's something that kind of gets into most conversations that we have with people about anything spiritual. But it's the idea of root and symptom. I think it's really beneficial for us as humans, I was going to say as women, but he's not a woman, to really examine our words and see what's going on in our heart. Matthew 15:18 says, from the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks. And so that's what we say is a direct reflection of what's going on in our heart. And I think that's something to really examine and to kind of pause and think through things that you say during the day. And are they really beneficial, or do they maybe reflect something darker? Like I know for me, when I'm struggling with gossiping about people, it's usually because something in me is feeling very insecure. And I am hurting in that way and feeling not good enough or not smart enough or maybe not liked enough. And so I want to say something hurtful about someone else to build myself up or to be part of a group. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people that have a similar experience like that. Or if it's negativity, if I find myself being really negative, I'm wondering what part of my life am I discontent about, or what part am I not trusting God to be good enough in? Or is there something that I just need to look at in my own heart? Do you have some thoughts or some other examples?
Yeah, what Jesus is saying here in Matthew 15:18, like Jaclyn said, he's saying what is coming out isn't the only problem. Yes, it's a problem when you use your words that harm other people, but he's saying what's coming out is actually revealing a greater problem that's on the inside. So many of us, as we address the problems, particularly with our words, all we do is we address the symptoms. We use behavioral modification. If I'm gossiping, then I need to stop gossiping. And what Jesus is saying is there's a greater problem going on. If you go back to what we said in the beginning, Ephesians 4:29, the Apostle Paul, he's commanding believers to use their words differently. Well, that's chapter 4 of Ephesians. Chapters 1 through 3, he describes what God has done for us in Christ. We were rebels to God. We have run away from God, but God in his grace has run towards us. So we will never be able to use our words in order to help other people until we understand that there's something fundamentally wrong with us that Jesus has come to fix. And he's fixed it by dying on the cross and offering us life through his death, burial, and resurrection. And so our encouragement for you is to ask yourself why. Why are my words coming out sideways? What is that saying about my heart? And what is the real solution? Is behavior modification, is taking deep breaths, or any other coping mechanism actually going to solve my problem? Or is there something greater that only God can address? And I think that has been really helpful for us as we have thought through tracing symptoms back to the root cause.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that kind of expands even with our kids. I often, my oldest, who's 9, has a very "what about me" personality. And he always wants to know why he didn't get the best piece of cake or the biggest whatever or win the most things. And I know that just goes back to his sweet little sinful heart where he wants to be most important. He is still learning the idea of the gospel and that God is always going to be the most important and that the world isn't about him, that it's about bringing God glory and loving people well. And that's just a process for him. And it is for me too, let's be honest. I often have that "what about me" mentality. But I think it's a great thing to even start talking about with our kids and saying like, hey, what's really going on? Why do you want it to be about you? Do you think this whole world is about you? Let's talk about that and why that maybe is really harmful thinking, not just for you, but for everyone around you. So I think it's a great kind of conversation starter, not only in yourself, but also with your family and maybe some close friends too.
Yeah. It is so key that we would understand that ultimately everything comes back to a worship problem. We worship things other than God, and that's our problem. The reason we use our words to tear other people down is that we benefit in some way when people are get hurt by our words, and we feel better about that. Mm-hmm. Why? Because we worship ourselves and aren't confident in who God has made us. And the only solution to that, again, is that we would understand that God has dealt with that by sending his son Jesus. And so we would encourage you to look to the gospel as the ultimate solution to find true healing, even with your words.
Yeah. So this next question is a little bit tougher. We'd love for you guys to take a few minutes though and try to get real and vulnerable and talk within your group about maybe some tendencies that you have as you think about your words and how you're using them. And maybe try to dig a little deeper to see what's going on behind that. What are maybe some fears that you have that you're covering, or maybe some insecurities that you are trying to overcompensate with your words through gossip or negativity or whatever it may be. But really just try to kind of think through some of your verbal patterns and see what's underneath those.